Shabbat Shalom. I'm Rabbi Robert Barr, and I'm delighted that you're sharing this Shabbat service with me and with each other. It's a chance for us to pause in these very hectic times, to remember what is most important in our lives, to reaffirm the values that we hold. 6 days we speak, and tonight we listen. 6 days we build, tonight we rest. 6 days we take care of others, tonight we nurture ourselves. 6 days we work to change our world. Tonight we are renewed by what is eternal. 6 days we plan for the future. Tonight we're enveloped in the present. 6 days we eat and drink in haste. Tonight we savor the taste of bread and wine and feel the bond of the world that feeds us. 6 days we teach. Tonight we learn. 6 days we hear the clamor. Tonight we listen for clarity. 6 days we struggle to expand our influence. Tonight we are dissolved in a greater influence. 6 days we focus our vision on the task at hand. Tonight we look beyond what we can see. May each of us find our Sabbath peace. Shabbat Shalom. Again, I'm Rabbi Robert Barr of Congregation Beth Adam. That's our bricks and mortar congregation and our Jewish community, our online congregation. Well, we've been streaming services for over 10 years. It was an opportunity to create a community that spanned the globe, that allowed people who found the voice of Judaism that we give expression to at Congregation Beth Adam a way to connect with this community. In recent months, given the pandemic, our streaming services have become even more important to our members around the world and to our members here in Cincinnati, Ohio, because we are social distancing and we can't come together and be in one place. But streaming services over the internet allows us to connect as a community, to give voice to our Jewish values, to know that we're part of something greater than ourselves, this particular community. And the technology allows us to do that, but it's the voice of Judaism that underpins what we've been doing here at Congregation Beth Adam for 40 years. Our ancestors gave voice to who they were. They gave voice to a Judaism that was formed out of the information and their understandings of the world in which they live, a limited understanding. Not because they weren't smart, but just simply because they didn't have access to the technology and tools and information that we have. We've been informed by that. We have grown, we have changed, we have become more informed about the nature of the universe, about what it means to be a human being. And it only makes sense then that the Judaism we give voice to would then be informed by all of this information, recognizing that no divine hand is going to rescue us, that if the world is going to be safe, it is incumbent upon us to make it so. That's what we've been doing here for 40 years, giving voice to a bold, dynamic Judaism, whether in our bricks and mortar community at Beth Adam or online at our Jewish community. And you're part of that. And I am delighted that you're here. Now, I know many people watch our services live at 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and many other folks watch it in our archives. Whether you're live or in the archives, that's great. If you're here, whenever you're watching, feel free to chat. Let us know where you're participating from. And when you leave comments, please make them welcoming and inclusive. That's the kind of community we are. We want everyone to know that this is a place that they can come and be a part of. So I'm glad you're here, and we're going to continue our service with the lighting of the Shabbat candles. On Shabbat, we light the candles. Candles bring forth light, illuminating the darkness. Candles offer us warmth, providing comfort. Candles awaken us as we reach for possibilities. As we light these candles, let us use their light to stretch beyond ourselves, touching others, bettering our world. Baruch ha'or ba'olam, blessed is the light within the world. Baruch ha'or ba'adam, blessed is the light within each person. Baruch ha'or ba'Shabbat, blessed is the light of the Sabbath. Okay, I made it. Match trouble once more. Excuse me. In recognition that this service tonight is 9/11, the 19th anniversary of the worst terrorist attack on U.S. soil, I chose to not have a conversation with the person tonight. I thought I'd read a Midrash, a Jewish legend. Jewish legends have been written throughout Jewish history. Rabbis have been taking stories in the Bible, adding to them, because the Bible stories themselves are legends, but they added new legends and new interpretations. So tonight's Midrash is a legend that I wrote. It's based upon the story of Lot as he and his wife were escaping Sodom and Gomorrah. And they had been warned that if they turned away or turned back and looked, they would be punished. This is that story reinterpreted. In his haste for safety, Lot did not realize what had happened. He thought perhaps his wife was simply lagging behind once again and not heard his questions. So Lot called louder. "How are you doing? How are you holding up? Can you keep on going?" But his questions were met with silence. Concerned now that his wife was not answering, Lot realized he needed to turn back to look for her. But he feared what might befall him if his eyes were to look towards the horizon. So carefully, very carefully, Lot turned his body around, keeping his eyes cast to the ground. He only allowed his eyes to survey the ground, conscious that one skyward glance would be his last. As he looked about, all he saw was the ground made smooth by the constant blowing of the wind and a lone salt formation that rose oddly from the earth. Again and again he looked. Each time the results were the same. His wife had disappeared, and only a pillar of salt broke the desolation. Slowly, Lot began to realize what had occurred. His wife had looked back. Cautiously, Lot walked to the pillar of salt. He looked closely and saw his wife encased within it. From her appearance, it looked as if her punishment came swiftly. His wife looked caught in flight, now frozen for all time. Carefully, Lot studied the woman whom he had loved in life and now loved in death. Though they had been warned, Lot could not believe that for a simple glance back, his wife would have been taken from him. He was angry that such a minor infraction would warrant such a harsh and drastic punishment. Though he cursed this injustice, he knew that there was no turning back the clock. Once his wife had been taken by death, she could never return. Her skin looked translucent as the sun sank behind her. Lot's once vibrant and energetic partner was now silent and still. Though they had known difficult times, and their voices had been raised more than once in anger with one another, a bond of love had been woven between them. They had shared much, the joys and frustration that life offered, the intimacy of loving partners, the challenge of being parents. Their lives had been enriched by their companionship. And though his wife now stood next to him, Lot knew he was now alone. Lot wondered, what was his life going to be like now that the woman he loved would no longer be there to calm his fears or to hold him when he was afraid? Her judgment, upon which he often relied, would no longer be forthcoming. That special warmth they shared would no longer exist. Lot knew that with his wife's death, a portion of self had died as well. It was unfair that the one who helped complete his life had been taken from him without cause, and now he was alone. Lot was not sure he could forge the future without her. He was not certain he even wanted to. Sorrow gripped his heart. Grief wrapped his soul. The pain he felt was beyond any he had known before. He remained next to the pillar for some time. He stroked it and touched it as if to reconnect himself to his wife trapped inside. He pondered his future. He knew that all he needed to do was lift his eyes to the horizon, and the pain that he now felt would be eased forever. His grief would cease, his sorrow would end, and he would stand once more with his wife. To look back or to rise, moving forward into the future, was now the challenge that Lot faced. He was not sure what was more difficult. With a heaviness in his soul, Lot realized that a future still lay before him, that he should not turn back. He looked upon his wife a final time as he prepared to continue his journey. A tear fell upon his cheek and perched upon his lip. Lot tasted, and it was salt. On this night, it is appropriate that we pause and reflect upon those whom death has taken from us. Because we have combined our bricks and mortar services with our streaming services, I'm going to be reading the Yortzeit list for September for our congregational members at Beth Adam. Some from our online community, our Jewish community, have sent me names as well. If you haven't sent a name, but there are names that you hold in your heart this night, please feel free to type them now as I read our memorial. We do so as a way to connect, that while our individual grief is unique and specific with us, we also know that we are part of a community, and that we can lean on, that there are others who we can turn to, who can support us in our grief. The cycle of life unfolds. Just as we rejoice in new life, we mourn its final ending, the inevitable death of those whose lives have touched ours. Today, we join voices with others as we say aloud the words which help us recall those we've lost. We remember the moments we've shared, the laughter and the tears, the beauty and the pain. Inevitably, as our lives intertwine, as we have touched one another, we've been influenced, changed, enriched by their presence. And so as we mourn their loss, we celebrate their life. Thus the cycle continues, their lives forever marking the continued unfolding of our own. We pause at this time to reflect upon those who are no longer among us. This moment of remembrance links life to life and generation to generation. And tonight we remember those, the anniversary of whose death occurs in this month of September. Gladys Barr, John Bolton, Bernice T. Bowman, Ruth Chalfie, Samuel L. Chaffee, Albert Cooper, Larry Christenberry, Doris H. Dana, William J. Durr Jr., Leonard Finkel, William Friedlander, Taub Friedman, Clara Galt, Gerald Gluck, Jeanette Goldfarb, William M. Gottliebson, John Hecht, Irving Hirsch, Isel Hurwitz, Marjorie Levine, Glenn A. Lever, Judy Lever, Joseph H. Levine, Simon Levine, Abraham Linder, Dawn Marie Luzatis, William McGee, Betty Janet Michelson, Betty Jane Michelson, Lenora Pardis Michelson, Solomon Nelson, Erwin B. Newhouser, James B. Osher, Trudy Rao, Shia Shane, Francis Smith, Molly Swit, Norman Weinberg, Mark Weiss, Lorraine Werfel, Jonathan Zelazny, Jeanette S. Koppelman, Patricia Jan Salk, Frank Agnello. And we call this night as well those who died on 9/11, those who were murdered and killed, those who died rescuing others. We also think, too, of those who've died as a result of diseases that they contracted during that horrific time in our history. We think, too, of all those who have died as a result of violence and terror that mars our planet, those who've died as a result of war, genocide, famine. We think of all those people who've died defending the principles of justice and peace and democracy. And we think of all of our loved ones whom death has taken from us. Ein b'dei ha'mavet ha'koach la'akor ma shetabun b'lev. Death cannot take that which is locked in our hearts. With our tears and our sorrow, we remember. With our courage and our strength, we do not forget. Acts of kindness, deeds of courage will remain. Beauty created, wisdom shared, is not lost. With our tears in our sorrow, we remember. With our tears in our sorrow, we remember. May the memory of good people bless our days. Let the Sabbath be a time for believing in what could be and seeing with new eyes. In this serious world, let us take ourselves less seriously. In these harsh times, let us listen for a soothing word. While the world around us unfolds in an instant, let us judge each other a little more slowly. Let the Sabbath shine a light into a corner of ourselves where hope is renewed. Let us remember a reason to be joyful and a way to be gentle. Let the Sabbath be a time for opening up. Let us find strength in our dreams and trust in our strength. And we continue our service with the sharing of a virtual challah and wine, juice, if you have some. We do this as an affirmation that we are indeed part of a community. In Jewish tradition, we share the challah as we celebrate the Sabbath. We are reminded that the challah, a twisted loaf of bread, sustains and nurtures the life of our bodies. May the sharing of challah sustain and nurture our hunger for knowledge and understanding of the world around us. May the sharing of the challah sustain and nurture our connection to those close by and those separated by distance and by time. May the sharing of the challah encourage us to reach out to those across the rooms, to those across our hallways, to those across our desks, and to those across the miles. May the sharing of the challah strengthen and enrich our coming week. Baruch Amal Kapenu, blessed is the work of our hands. Baruch Hazon Ha'adam, blessed is the vision of our minds. Baruch Lechem Aretz, blessed is the bread of the earth. And then if you have some juice or wine, feel free to join with me. It's a custom to share wine and juice with family and friends and community on Shabbat. It reminds us that it's not enough for us to quench our physical thirst. We must nourish our spirit as well. As we celebrate the Shabbat, may this wine remind us to live our lives to the fullest and to embrace the joys and pleasures that life offers. Ruchim chachayim ba'olam, blessed is the life within the world. Ruchim chachayim ba'adam, blessed is the life within us. And so we say l'chaim, to life. So I'm delighted that we were able to share this Shabbat service together. And I have a couple quick announcements. Next week, next Friday night is the first night, is Rosh Hashanah. It's the first night of the high holidays, September 18th. So we will not be streaming a service at 6 o'clock next week. Our Rosh Hashanah evening service will stream at 7 p.m. So come to bethadam.org at 7 p.m. That's the best place to watch our streaming services. We will be streaming them to our Facebook pages, and you can find them there. But if you quickly want to know where to find our services, come to bethadam.org. And right there at the top of the page, there's a link that says, click here for streaming high holiday services. There's also a link right below it that will give you a schedule of the rest of the events. In fact, and if you go down to the bottom of our home screen, our home page on our website, there are links to resources we have as well. If you can't watch our service in real time at 7 o'clock, the service will be, once it's been streamed for the first time, it then goes into our archives, and you can go to the same place, click where it says streaming services, and you can watch it in our archives. That allows people who can't be here at 7 o'clock. I get it, that people's lives are difficult and complicated. Even though we may be sheltering at home, we live in different time zones and we have different sets of responsibilities. So we're here to serve you as a congregation when you're available. So check out our high holiday services. Again, it'll be at 7 o'clock Friday night, September 18th. You can watch it then. There'll be a morning service on Rosh Hashanah morning, the 19th, and that service will stream at 10:30. Invite people to watch it with you. Let other people know that this is a community that has a voice of Judaism that you feel is meaningful, speaks to who you are. I want you to know that the services will be similar if you've joined us before, and that it's the liturgy that we've written here at Congregation Beth Adam. But for the sake of being online, we have shortened our services some. They'll be about 45, maybe 50 minutes long. The readings have been shortened a bit, and we're going to do less music, recognizing that music online can be challenging. So Rabbi Bernstein and myself are looking forward to sharing the upcoming high holidays with you. I do also want to say that we will have a memorial service for Yom Kippur like we have had in prior years, but this year we're not accepting photographs because we're including our bricks and mortar memorials as well as our online. We've had to, for the sake of just making it all work, we're only posting names this year during the memorial, and unfortunately those names have all been included, so we're not accepting any more. But you can join us, and like we did tonight, if there's a name that you hold in your heart during a memorial service, please, you're invited to share them as well. And we conclude with the words we close with each week. May we know blessings those who are near, and may we know blessings those who are far. And may this Sabbath bring its goodness to everyone soon, wherever they are. Shabbat Shalom.